Welcome to this video. Today we're going to interview Kate Watson from nicerfoods.com. Now she creates wonderful low FODMAP foods and sells them from her website. So we're going to ask her all about her experience with IBS, the low FODMAP diet, and also her business. My name is Suzanne Pedazzini, and I'm the author of 2 Low FODMAP cookbooks and the creator of 2 Low FODMAP coaching programs. Right, let's get started with our interview of Kate Watson. So, today we're going to talk to Kate Watson, who is the co-founder of nicerfoods.com. And at Nicer Foods, they manufacture and sell low FODMAP goodies like snack bars, spice blends, oatmeal cups for breakfast, and flavor-infused olive oils. So welcome, Kate.
Thank you for having me, Suzanne.
Right, now tell us a little bit about your story before discovering the low FODMAP diet, and what else had you tried in your effort to find a solution for your IBS?
Well, it was many years of struggle, of lots of distress. I mean, I probably developed IBS when I was in my early 20s. I didn't recognize it as such until a while later, but I became a vegetarian when I was in high school, and that probably wasn't helping anything. As we know now, a lot of the legumes and vegetarian protein sources are high FODMAP, which so that probably wasn't helping anything. But so I felt like over the years I probably tried everything that I could think of. I'm a dietitian by trade, so a lot of the things that we would try would be like I tried low fiber, I tried high fiber, I tried fiber supplements, I tried low fat, dairy free, gluten free, and I have some relief with some of those things, but never full relief. And even, the fiber supplements, that was one thing that I remember my primary care doctor telling me, IBS is all about fiber. You gotta take fiber supplements. And I remember that was just a disaster. I mean, it made it so much worse. It made my symptoms so much worse. So yeah, I felt like I tried everything, including medication too, over the years, and really just kind of lived with a baseline of feeling lousy for a period of 20 years. I mean, that's a long time to suffer, but I know that a lot of people with IBS do that. They just live with it. So yeah.
All right, so I absolutely agree about that whole fiber thing. That's the story I got for decades. Eat more fruit, vegetables, and fiber. And now, of course, with the knowledge that we have, that's just completely terrible advice for us.
Exactly.
Now,
Exactly.
Kate, just tell my readers, do you have IBS on the side of diarrhea, constipation, or that one that swings between the two?
Mine was always diarrhea predominant, and that kind of changed over the last few years. But one of my primary issues was more like that classic bloating, where by the end of the day you look like you're 6 months pregnant. That and pain. I got a lot of abdominal pain, so those were my primary symptoms.
Okay, and that does seem to be the predominant IBS. I, on the other side, are on the side of the constipation, which is the lesser one, but actually the more difficult to fix with the low FODMAP diet.
Yes, it is. You're right about that. It sometimes takes a lot longer for clients with constipation predominant to feel improved than it's the people with the diarrhea predominant tend to show improvement a lot quicker on the diet.
I know many of my clients can't believe after a couple of days on the diet that the symptoms are gone if they have diarrhea. Those with constipation, the bloating is gone, but the constipation we have to work on almost as a separate entity to the FODMAP issue.
Yes, I agree.
Okay, right now, tell me how you discovered the low FODMAP diet.
So I used to live in Massachusetts. I live in Washington State now, but so probably about 8 years ago, I had this amazing GI doctor there, and she was working with me on all kinds of things to, figure out, what different kinds of dietary strategies or, what I could do to get relief. And I remember her telling me about the low FODMAP diet, and I think she was a little ahead of her time because, doctors in the U.S. are just now learning about low FODMAPs. But at the time, I remember her telling me about it, and I had the same reaction that everybody did. I was like, oh, what are you saying? Low what? FOD food what? And I asked her to write it down, and she told me a little bit about it, and I was like, oh, no way. There's no way I can do that. It just, the mere idea of it was so overwhelming to me that I just kind of filed it in the back of my head somewhere, and I was like, yeah, maybe some other day, but I'm already vegetarian, and just the idea of cutting out all kinds of these foods, it was too much. So, and the other thing is I was in a different situation. I was in a different marriage, and my life was pretty stressful, and I really don't think I don't think I would have had the support to go on a special diet. Actually, I think it would have been really difficult in my family situation at the time. So that was another reason. It was just overwhelming, and I just didn't feel like I had the support. So basically, I just kind of put that off for a long while, until my symptoms kind of got progressively worse over the years. And, I ended up going through a divorce, and I got remarried, and my wonderful husband, Jesse, who started our company with me, but we had gone on our honeymoon to Mexico, and, we published this story on our website and on our Kickstarter campaign, but, at the time I was like, I wasn't doing anything specific for my diet. I was just living with the symptoms, and I was vegetarian, and then we went to Mexico for our honeymoon, which is probably the worst place for a vegetarian with IBS to vacation. So we were at an all-inclusive resort, and I just remember, I would start drinking pina coladas at 10 a.m. because that's what you do, when you're at these all-inclusive resorts. And, I remember posting on Facebook to my friends, like, I just sampled 4 desserts at one time because I could. And,
wow.
However, it was about, 3 days into it that I started to feel really bad. And it progressed to a point where I couldn't eat anything. And I had severe abdominal pain and nausea. And at that point, I was done eating, done drinking. My husband went out and located rice cakes and just bland cereals and things for me, and I was just so sick. I missed probably 3 or or 4 days of our honeymoon.
Oh
And,
dear.
I was convinced that I had either developed an ulcer or that I picked up parasites or something. So after we came back from Mexico, I had gone to my gastroenterologist, of course, and I had all the tests done again. I had an endoscopy and a colonoscopy and tested me for parasites and all that good stuff. And of course, it was all negative. And the doctor said it was, just my IBS was flaring up. So I was kind of shocked about how bad IBS could really be and how debilitating it could be, because I was really in bed for about 4 days sick from my overindulgences. So basically, once I was through all those tests and everything, I got that final diagnosis that it really is your IBS. There's nothing else wrong with you. You don't have cancer. You don't have celiac disease. It's IBS. So at that point, I was determined to do something. I mean, that was kind of my rock bottom point where I was like, I am done letting IBS ruin my life, and it pretty much just ruined my honeymoon. And so I started, doing some research to see what some of the updates were in the dietary world with IBS treatments, and Low Fodmap came back up for me again. So I had remembered it, from years back when my GI doctor told me about it many years back, and I was like, all right, there's no better time than the present. I'm just going to do this. So I just armed myself with as much education as I could. I got the Monash University app on my phone, and I did a continuing education course for dietitians on the Low Fodmap diet, and so I did all that stuff, and even so, it was really overwhelming, but I started on it, and I was one of those people that within 3 days of starting on the diet, I felt significantly better. I mean, I couldn't believe how much better I felt, and I couldn't believe that I waited like 8 years to start on the diet. So I felt like it really changed my life, and I felt at that point that I wanted to tell the world about it. I wanted to tell everybody who was suffering with IBS that there is something you can do about it, and this diet is really powerful. So that was my journey into the Low Fodmap lifestyle at that point.
So what sort of impact has this had on your life if you compare before and after?
I think, before I just felt like, I think I maybe felt like a victim to my IBS. I felt like it was controlling me. Like I felt like there was no rhyme or reason for my symptoms. It seemed like every single thing I ate triggered symptoms. And one of the things that I love about this diet, and that I love to teach my own clients about, is that I think it's really empowering to go through this diet, to go through the elimination phase and then the challenge phase, because you actually learn what your triggers are. So for the first time in my life, I was able to actually be able to state what my triggers are and make choices about what I ate. So like if I choose to go out and go out to a restaurant and eat something with wheat in it. I mean, that's one of my triggers. So if I decide to do that, I know that I'm probably going to end up having some pain and symptoms from it. But that's my choice now. So before, I just felt like it didn't matter. I had no choice. It didn't matter what I ate. I was going to be sick. But now I feel like I'm in control of my own health, and that's a huge change. So, and I feel like I could live a pretty normal life. I don't have to worry about missing work and things because, I feel like my symptoms are pretty well controlled, that it's just made such an overall positive impact on my life. So it's been pretty powerful, a pretty powerful change for me.
Well, yes. I mean, I know from my own experience, for me, it changed my life in many, many ways. I even left a job that was sucking my soul out of me because I felt so much better in myself. I was less tired. I was able to make decisions to lead a better life, a different life that now is absolutely fantastic. I can't believe I spent those decades in pain and as you said, a victim to your IBS.
Yeah, exactly. I mean that's true for me too. I mean, I did leave the job that I was working at. I was really burned out. I was a dietitian working with kidney disease patients. They were on dialysis, so they were in kidney failure, and I was really burned out in my job, and basically that's a similar story to mine, that I felt so much better, and I felt that I was ready to make a change in my career, and that I wanted my career to be based around this diet because it changed my life so much.
Right, so you say that this has really made a big impact on your life and you actually have left your job as well. But what actually led you to develop Low Fodmap Foods?
I think the sheer frustration that I experienced was one of them. When I would go into a grocery store, I as much as cooking from scratch is what I would suggest for any clients, there are definitely still those days where you don't have the energy maybe to cook completely from scratch. So and we also travel fairly frequently. So I had been at the stores, looking for different things that would be easy for travel or just for those type of evenings where I was kind of too tired or not feeling great, and just wanting something easy to make. And I was so frustrated with the lack of options that would work for someone on a low FODMAP diet. So, like for example, I would be looking for the protein bars, and because I would like to take those on just for times when I'm in a pinch, like if I'm traveling or I'm just, on the go, that I could just grab a protein bar. But I know from past experience that all of the protein bars that I've tried did not agree with me for one reason or another. And when I was actually in the store, I remember one day looking at the back of probably 20 protein bars and knowing that none of them were going to work for me. So, like, first of all, none of them were low FODMAP, but then they had some other things in them which can be triggers for me, like soy, for example. So it was kind of out of sheer frustration that I was like, I just want to do something about this. Like, I want people with IBS to be able to go into a grocery store and buy food easily. Like, it shouldn't be so hard. And I wanted for people with digestive issues to feel some sense of normalcy, that there were products made for them that they can use with the rest of their family too. But basically, my husband and I kind of got on this mission that we were going to make this protein bar, and that it was going to be made with low Fodmap ingredients. And so that was our venture into the food making world, and that's what it started with, was the wood bar. And it's been quite an adventure, I'll say, because we had no idea what we were doing. So it's been a learning experience for sure.
I can imagine that. I can't even get my head around doing what you're doing. So what sort of obstacles have you had to overcome while developing this business?
There's been many obstacles. I think one big one is financially. We're considered we're a startup company, and we're bootstrapping it, as they say. So we had done a Kickstarter campaign where we raised some money there, like it was like $12,000, and that was enough to get us started. And we've also just borrowed money from family to help fund it too. But so one of the things is money. You need to have kind of a lot of money to put down into making products. But some of the other things were like, we decided to go with co-packers, which is to say that we were going to develop the recipes, but then we wanted somebody else to make them. So, but actually finding co-packers that will work with you, being that we are, this unknown company, we were this tiny company that was just starting, it was extremely difficult to find co-packers that would even work with us, because, they were like, well, we've never heard of you, and they also, the other thing was that they all want you to purchase this huge minimum quantity. So we were running into this time and time again, where we would find these co-packers and they would say, well, you have to buy 10,000 of them, and it was just not an option. So after endless searching, we spent hours and hours every day just calling people and trying to convince them of our mission. We found several that we were able to work with, and that we're in line with our mission, and we're willing to do the kind of smaller minimum quantities. So that was some of our challenges, and also the other big challenge is that low Fodmap is still not that well known. So in the United States, the awareness is starting to grow, but it's not like gluten-free that everybody's heard of by now. It's still a little obscure, and it's a pretty niche market that we're catering to. So that is something that, is working against us. The diet needs to grow, and it's part of our mission to spread the word about it and to teach people about it and educate them about, about how impactful it can be. But it's definitely a big challenge.
I can imagine. So, today they say that it's really good to go niche on the internet. Sometimes you can go a little bit too niche, perhaps.
Yeah, for sure.
But, you're at the beginning of this big explosion of the low Fodmap diet, as I have been as well. When I started my blog several years ago, it was really one of the first out there that was dedicated to the low Fodmap diet. Now there are quite a collection of very nice ones that you can rely on. There are a lot you can't, But there are some nice ones out there. So it is expanding. If you can hold on tight while you go through this expansion period, I think you're onto a fantastic thing, because, you know, my clients are always saying, I want to be able to go to the store and buy something I know won't hurt me. And after my self-study course, I have a survey that people fill out, and there's always a question, what could I do to improve the course? And I've had it twice now. You could supply us with the Low Fodmap snacks. And I'm like, no.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a big challenge when you're on the diet to find things that work. So that it's definitely a niche thing, but it's also hard being just online, because we do have to charge for shipping, and customers get upset about that sometimes, but it's so expensive to make these products because we're so small.
Yes.
Like if we were, one of the other big manufacturers, they buy things in huge quantities so they can charge less. But that's another big challenge, is that for one thing we have to buy them in small quantities, so they're more expensive. And then we have to charge for shipping too. So, the dream is that someday we'll get our products into stores as the diet becomes more well known. But I think we're probably a ways off on that still.
Maybe, yes, in the US, because you are lagging a bit behind New Zealand and Australia, because Australia is obviously where the diet was created and researched. They're much further ahead over there. Maybe you can approach them in Australia, some of the manufacturers.
Yes, we have talked to some, we've been kind of talking to some people about maybe being distributors for different stores and places there that they can maybe stock our bars, and things. But again, it's like we have to actually. It's going to cost a lot of money to ship the products overseas. So, our hope is that someday we're going to get some kind of funding from somewhere. I don't know where, but because I would really ideally like to make some of those products in Australia, so that we don't have to be trying to ship them across the country and incurring all those costs. So we have dreams, but we'll see.
Sounds fantastic for those of us with IBS. But tell us something about the goodies that you have available at the moment in your online shop.
So right now we have our original protein bar, and that's a peanut butter chocolate chip bar.
Yum.
Yes, it's very yummy. We are doing a reformulation of that one, and so we also are about to produce a second version of that's higher in protein, because our customers were asking for it to be a little higher in protein. So we're working on that, and also an almond butter bar. That's also very yummy. And then we have oatmeal cups. They were designed to be specifically made in low fodmap portion sizes, because I wanted people to be able to take them on the go or take them to work, and you just have to add hot water, mix it up. And so we have two different types of oatmeal cups. There's raisin, pumpkin seed, and then there's cranberry, sunflower seed. So we have those two, and then we have garlic infused and shallot infused oils, and then we have 3 seasoning blends. There's taco, sausage, and Indian butter chicken, and those were all made with no onion or garlic powder in them, of course. So and they're all really yummy, I have to say.
Well, they certainly sound very yummy, and I'm sure you wouldn't be developing anything that wasn't.
No. I definitely won't put And so we've gone through lots and lots of reformulations with all of these things to get them right, to get them where I wanted them to be nutritionally, and also to where they tasted good too. So.
I can imagine it would be very time consuming just getting to that point where you were happy with a product to put out there on the market.
Yes, definitely. It's I couldn't even eat our own protein bars for a while because I ate thousands of them while we were developing them, and I was like, oh man! By the time it came to the market, I had to take a little break from them. But yeah, that's one of the side effects. We have to taste everything as we're going through the development process. So.
Yeah, no, I can imagine that they'll be coming out your ears for sure.
Yes.
Listen, tell my readers where they can buy these products now that they've heard all about them.
So they're just online now on our website at nicerfoods.com, and we are shipping internationally as well now. So we do have customers in Australia and New Zealand and Portugal and the UK, and we always tell people too, like if they don't see their country on our list, just to ask us, shoot us an email. You can email us at questions@nicerfoods.com, and we're always happy to look into it to see if there's any reason we can't ship to your country. Some countries have certain regulations about shipping food, but we're always happy to look into it for customers. So.
Okay, that sounds wonderful. I'll make sure I put those links below the video. I'll put this on YouTube as well, and I'll make sure the links are actually on the video to your website and to that email address so people can get in touch with you, because I'm sure my readers are very excited about this prospect of not having to make up their own snacks all the time or make mistakes because they're out and they're hungry and they can have one in their purse ready to go.
That's right. That's who we designed them for. So.
Yeah. No, that's fantastic. I think you're onto a great thing, and if you can just hang in there while the word gets out there that this low FODMAP diet is so incredible for eliminating the symptoms of IBS, and that there is some help in terms of food that you can buy that will keep you symptom free as well. Look, thanks, Kate, very much for your time. This has been wonderful. I've heard all your future plans for the business, and that sounds like you're really hanging in there and going to make this work for all of us. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Suzanne. It was great to talk with you today.
Ready to take the fast track to an IBS-free life? I'll show you how. Get started now. Check out the details at strandsofmylife.com/IBS-free. Your reward will be a joyful, symptom-free life.